All right, sports fans, it's Friday, so it must be another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
And welcome to our show. And I got to tell you, Alan, I was just on the Two Regular Guys show, and they have a whole intro, and that's so professional. And ours feels like we're a hobby or something.
Well, we can change that then.
I don't know. I kind of like the fact that there is no opening thing. We just go right into it, right?
I don't know. I like music and stuff, and you know what? I missed their intro. I haven't watched them in a while. I did watch you on there. You did a great job.
Thanks.
And you know what? I do want to give hats off to Terry and Aaron and Eric. They do a great job. And hey, they were the pioneers of podcasts for our industry. So yeah, they are the ones who we follow. But great friends of ours, and for all of us that do stuff like this in this space, I don't think people realize there's really no competition for it.
It's a big tent, and our show's different than theirs. And you know what was really fun though was I was telling the guys before we started, it was so weird being backstage and not control of any of the buttons, and just like it was like being in a car and then there's no steering wheel. It was kind of weird, right? But anyway, welcome to our show. Thanks for watching, and we really appreciate you. We have a lot of really fun stuff to talk about today. We have some folks that have jumped in early, but what we want to say is this is a Q&A show, and its emphasis here is on the Q. That's the question part. So we need you to add your comment, ask your question. We've got some topics that we want to share, right? But we can totally talk about EOS or shipping or whatever crazy problem you are having. Dump it into the comments and let's get that going. We're here to serve you. That's our job, is to make your job easier with what we do. But we can't do that unless you ask the question. So you got to be brave a little bit and dump that into the comment, and then also.
Oh, go ahead, Marshall. I'm sorry.
And I was going to say also, we really need you guys to share that you're watching. We're trying to build our listeners all the time. So just whatever platform you're using, click the share button, share that you're watching. And if you're watching this later as a recording, because a lot of people do that, please drop a comment and let us know that, hey, I watched this on Saturday or whatever, so we know that somebody watched on that day. That really helps us out. So I'm sorry, Alan, I cut you off.
No, and I interrupted you, and that's all right. You know what? I also want to know, not just in your questions, tell us what you're doing, man. What are you doing that's cool? What are you trying? What are you working on? I want to hear that stuff. What are you looking to do in the future? I know Mr. Greaves is driving. He's been putting together a whole new shop for a company. How's that going, man? I know you and I talk, but some new technologies. And I would love to, I don't know if we want to get into it. Richard and I got into a discussion about a week ago on how things were, how things now. And then we kind of leaned into, wow, how could we do that back then, but we can't do it now? Has technology are we running the technology too much where it's,
well, here's the thing. A certain part, you get lazy, I think, when, like, for example, I use a calculator all the time, but now I can't do math in my head.
Exactly.
Well,
and with stuff on exposure, of course, Richard and I talk screens all the time, with water base, and then with, LED, how we like LED, how we don't like it, what's different now with water-based screens. And Richard brought up, he goes, how could I do 75,000 prints with fluorescent tubes and a diazo water-resistant emulsion? And that got me thinking, going, wait, are these even better than technologies for, or, what's, so with,
are we regressing,
are we regressing, or are we just not giving the whole big picture?
Yeah, right.
On stuff. And that brought in, okay, so here's the deal with LEDs, what we know. Here's the deal with lasers, what we know. Here's what they do and do great. Maybe we don't talk about what they don't do. And yeah, so
that sounds like a video.
well, it sounds like it. And you know what? That stuff
Maybe you should do some content creation there, pal.
yeah, probably.
Hey,
You
we
know,
want to say hey to some folks. So
well,
Hurley's
anyway,
here.
so I
Good
want to know
morning.
what they're thinking and all that. And
Yeah.
you know,
And
but that also brings us to we have a guest in that realm coming on. We're talking to an emulsion guy, so that'll be cool. In the future.
And Kim's here. Good morning, Kim.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations. I saw your post the other day, Kim, where you're a beta tester for Epson for a new printer. I thought that was really cool. So please comment about that, how it's going and whatever. We would love to get more information on that, about how they chose you. Really cool. So good job with that.
Because she's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know how that's going. And yeah, congratulations on that.
So our pal Glenn's here. Good to see you, Glenn, from Kansas City. And Richard says 20-minute exposure.
It was longer exposures back then. But no breakdown.
Hurley says, been playing with a new Photoshop and AI betas from Firefly all week. Very cool new tools. I totally agree. And keep that moving. If you're using Midjourney, I was just talking about the Midjourney newsletter on the Two Regular Guys show. And what's interesting is I shared the link to my newsletter on that show, and it carried over under my name for this show. I didn't type that in for this show. Very interesting. So anyway, and Kim says she's going to have to try the new AI. Yes, you're going to have to do some stuff. It's the way of the world. It's really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And you need to get in there and roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, right? So anyway, we got a great show. If you're watching, please say hello, where you're watching from, all that good stuff. And then we've got a commercial to run. So we want to, as always, thanks GSG for your sponsorship. You really make the show go. And we've got a little commercial to run. So here you go.
Sounds good.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes: GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
All right. Thanks, GSG. All right. So got some more people. Sarah's here. Hey, guys. Good seeing you, Sarah.
You missed a Chris Maltz question.
Oh, sorry. Can't wait for that episode. I got some high density emulsion questions, but no one to ask.
Yep. When it's scheduled, we'll let you know.
Yeah. And William's here. Hey, y'all.
Hey, William.
And Kim says, thanks so much. The new F2270 is absolutely amazing. Epson definitely did some awesome upgrades. I've had it since the middle of May, and I've had so much fun with it.
Great.
Thanks, Kim. And Kim does a great job. She's actually here in Phoenix. Her shop's Paisley Joe Designs. So,
yep.
All right. So,
an F2270, that's DTG or sublimation?
I think it's a wide format printer.
Wide format? Okay.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah, let us know.
I was traveling this week. I was in Utah, and you were traveling this week. You were in Nashville.
Last week I was.
Last week. Okay. So we've both been traveling. So we want to talk about the first thing, which was the Apparel Decorator Summit. So you've probably seen this on the internet, on some posts. There's been lots of recaps and stuff. But if you haven't been paying attention, Alan was there.
Yes,
And I think we need a little report, Alan. So tell us about what the Apparel Decorators Summit was. I know you were on the board that actually put it together. So give us what, the scoop.
Yeah, I was asked to be on the advisory board, which of course always honored. I know as you are, Marshall, anytime we get asked by that stuff, we're like, okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? We didn't put it together. Printing United put it together in the Apparelist, who we will be having Cassie Green on in a few months from here. And this is the first time they've ever done this in the apparel decorators world. They have done this in wide format. They've done it with others with very good success. And it is an invite of a certain slice of decorators. And limited number, I think it was 50, 70, something like that were there. First class job on it. But it was about expanding your businesses and, and moving your business forward. Big sponsors were Stalls, of course. Josh Ellsworth was there. Cornette was there. They had sponsored the shirt manufacturer. A lot of the shirt manufacturers were there with new products and stuff, and it was real good. But it wasn't a trade show. This was the keynote speakers. Like the first day, Josh Ellsworth and Cornette talked about, and in a non-sales way of expanding your product offerings and where does it go. And I thought it was incredible. We did the next morning. There were these breakout groups. Everybody had a different color, a cyan, a yellow, a magenta, a black handkerchief. That was your group. And you were in these breakout groups. And then there was our case study groups, different manufacturers, different products that because, and I need to refresh this, because of your invite there was a questionnaire given to all the people coming. You had to fill it out. And that led to more questions about your business, what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you're looking at, what you're maybe looking in the future. Well, I'm all screen printing. I don't do, DTG. I don't do DTF. I don't do this. I don't do that. And that means you would be put in groups where the case studies would be on products probably that you're not using or you are looking at in the future. And it was pretty good. So there's, the companies are given their case study. They would have a person there or a PowerPoint, and they're given their case study on that product, that procedure, that technology of how it's grown a business.
And it was like a big matchmaking thing, right? So
well, and that was first. And so you got to ask questions and stuff. Well, then you were assigned to what were called tables. And it was almost like a matchmaking thing. So, there was equipment manufacturer there. So like Terry Combs from Equipment Zone and Jay Bissell were there. If you have an Epson direct-to-garment printer, you're probably not going to get a table sitting with Epson, with them. Epson was there also. Now, but if you put, I am doing XYZ, I'm doing embroidery, I'm doing, I'm contracting out my screen printing. I'm wondering, should I bring it in a house? Well, you might have a table sitting with Rock or, a supplier that was there or something in that realm. And this was all new. So being on the advisory board, I'm like, how will this work? How will screen printers and decorators? I was a little, not quite sure how this is working. What we did, there were panels and stuff also. I was on a panel with myself, Terry Combs, Val Solomon from Night Owls, Justin Lawrence, and Brett Bowden, and it was a general question one, but there were stuff on business, on scaling, on all kinds of things of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the panels went good. They were moderated. Printing United gave a state of the garment decorating thing, and it went extremely, extremely well. A lot of the major players in the industry were there. Some couldn't attend, and it was different. I had never been in anything, but Printing United put it on extremely well, and everybody stayed together. Everybody did what they were supposed to, and man, total mind blow, made people think. People were going, okay, I never thought of this before. I know of a company going, you know what? I have tried direct to garment. I have tried all this other stuff. I'm not bringing it in. I was an early adopter and stuff like that. Well, discussing it more and more, going, wait, maybe I need to.
Yeah. So how did people get invited? What was because I know there's a lot of people who probably wanted to go to that, but couldn't go because they weren't invited because it was invitation only. How did that work?
You know what? I wish I knew that. I didn't know. Invites were sent before I actually came on board with it. So yeah. I don't know. Now, Printing United was there, and Printing United is all about membership. You didn't have to be a member. If you were not a member, I guarantee you had a table appointment with Printing United on membership.
Yeah.
And you know what? They had some, and you could tell by the tags who were members, who weren't. And Printing United, Marshall, you and I here have been members. We're in the academy. We've been on, you've been on the executive board. I've been on boards there. And you know what? It's been a little rough at times with Printing United. But they have assured you and I, and we have been involved in some stuff that they're trying to do better. Josh Caruth, Cassie Green, they brought on teams from the apparel industry. And you know what? If this is the first case of it, they did pretty well. I actually admitted to them, I'm going, all right, guys, I'm extremely impressed. They wanted to quote that and put it on the line right away. I said, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. But it was good. I don't know how that happened. It was, I think, between volume, the size of your shop and everything from there. Now, when they do it next year, I think it's going to be a whole different class of invites.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's interesting. And
I will find out.
Yeah. We'll have Cassie on, and maybe she'll provide us more detail.
Yeah.
Some comments here, Alan. Kim says that her printer is a DTG DTF,
which is awesome.
Carlos is here. Good morning.
Carlos,
Josh is here. Good morning. Hey, Josh, by the way, I got your email, and I'm looking into that for you.
Carlos from Sharp Prints, his company was at the Apparel Decorator Summit. So
yeah. Cindy says good morning. She's running late. That's okay. We won't dock your pay or anything. It's okay. Artem says that he wasn't invited. So let me tell you, the fun level of that event could have went up six levels if Artem was there. So, but he also says good morning. So anyway, so I think these type of events are really important for the industry. And I think a lot of times, we're all busy. Everybody watching this is busy. There's people who should be watching this show right now that can't because they're busy, right? Yep. And I think we sometimes need to take time to watch a video, to read a book, to read a blog, to go to a live event, go to a trade show, take some classes, right? And what happens is people just don't do that stuff. I like that the industry is responding to that by trying to make things happen and do things better. This is an excellent example of that. So huge shout out to Printing United for putting this on and underwriting it and making it happen.
I do.
Maybe next year, people watching right here can go. Maybe I can go. I would have loved to have been there. but it's one of these things where not everybody can do everything. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
So.
I think also too, this group, everybody there, I knew a lot of them. Everybody had a name or we knew of each other. So I think these were, I don't want to say, these were influencers in the industry who have some presence and stuff, because if it went well, it'll be talked about.
Yeah.
And I can
right.
see that.
Right.
And you know what? Now the fact people going, I wasn't invited. I want to go. I want to see on this. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. So now, first year. So, will some things change? Even our sponsor, I talked to them afterwards about it, and they said, yeah, they brought it up because we're familiar with it. GSG is on the wide format. They held off this year, just wasn't sure. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's understandable.
Right.
But Printing United did well on it. I was impressed. I was honored to be invited to be part of it.
Good. Well, hey, let's switch gears and new topic. And so this week I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, at a shop, and I was filming the show for Stalls. I have a new video show coming out, the Heat Press Transformation Show. And we were at JC Pro Designs, which is Justin Leader's shop. He has a really great business there in Salt Lake and does a lot of stuff nationally. And he's into like all kinds of stuff. Right. And what was really apparent for him, and the reason why I want to talk about this, is it wasn't too long ago he was in a completely different business. He was in the oil industry running oil rigs. And just kind of by accident started doing something in his house, right? Like a lot of people do, and doing heat press stuff. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and got to the point where he made the decision just to go all in on the apparel end of things. And here we are 7 years later, and he's totally kicking major butt, right? How that happened for him is these two words: taking action. So that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it, because he is in Shirt Lab. He goes to trade shows. He takes the classes. He reads the books. He investigates it. Everything is super process driven, and he builds what he learns. Does he know everything? No. Okay. And, but he's really good about taking action. And, one of the things we were doing while I was there was I was just walking around looking at things. And, me, Alan, how many questions do you think I ask at a shop when I'm walking around? Like
100 the first 30 seconds.
And so I asked him, hey, what's the tension of that screen? I don't know. Right. So we talked about it, and he's ordered a tension meter. Right. So he's all about taking action, not about pretending to take action. Yeah. And so he's going to have a process about how to measure his tension and the reasons for that. And we talked about all the different things there. So the why this is important is because I think a lot of times folks in this industry will go to a trade show, or they'll go to the Apparel Decorator Summit, right? And then after the next week, nothing. We don't do anything, right? It's just back to business as usual. The people that really grow their business, the people that really excel in this industry, are the ones where there is a new idea and that idea gets implemented, okay? Or at least tested and tried out, right? And we're not afraid to fail. And I think a lot of people start off with wanting to hit the home run on the first try, and it doesn't work out. Well, technology changes. What you did might be wrong. I mean, like you were just saying a minute ago, I did DTG 10 years ago and it didn't work, so now it doesn't work. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, it didn't work for you. Why? There's probably reasons, but you know what? An incredible number of things have changed in 10 years. I guarantee you people are having success with DTG because I see it all the time.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's one of these things where you have to learn to take action. right? And just goof around with things. And I'll tell you who does a really good job with this. We have a watcher right now, Artem, right?
Mm-hmm.
That guy plays and experiments with things all the time to figure stuff out, right? Because he wants to be able to offer to his customers decoration methods that you can't get anywhere else because he's figured it out. He's done the homework.
Yep.
Okay. So I would love it right now if you're watching this. Give me an example, or give us an example of something that you've learned, you've put into action, you've tested it and tried it out. And just based on who's watching on here, we've got a bunch of people who've done stuff like that, right? Give us an example of something you've done. You tried out the Vision IQ heat press, or DTG, or DTF, or whatever. What happened? What did you do? What were the results? Did you hit the home run on the first pitch, or was it your 18th try at doing something? And now we're experts, which I think is more realistic.
What did you implement that you're going, man, this is a game changer? I should have did it. I should have done it 2 years ago.
Yeah. And we all kick ourselves and all have regrets, and,
Yep.
we're playing around with things, like right now, what am I doing? Right? There's something I'm doing right now. It's Midjourney, right?
Yep.
And I'm not going to make any secret about it, right? I am goofing around with that every single day for 5 to 15 minutes, and I'm posting my results with what I'm calling my daily experiment, right?
Right.
I don't know everything, but I'm playing around with stuff and learning and teaching myself and reading articles and watching videos. And because of that, I've got some knowledge that I'm sharing with my newsletter, right? But it's helping me create better images and stuff because I'm doing the daily experiment. That's the discipline, is failing, and fail is an acronym, first attempt in learning, right? So Chris here says, building a drawing fan for high density screens was a game changer for me.
Is that for drying the stencil?
Yeah. Well, what is that?
Well, stencils don't dry by air.
Oh yeah, but share what you're talking about here. So
yeah, it's all about humidity level and stuff. You do have to evaporate the humidity off and get it out. So yeah.
Well, maybe he's trying to dry the screen faster.
Maybe that's it, after developed.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people have done that with a box fan, and the trick is to put the air conditioner filter on top.
Absolutely.
You're not blowing crap all over your wet emulsion. So, and he says that, creating a skim coat so you don't get dripping. There you go.
Okay, cool.
So this is his technique.
It's after development.
Technique, right? There's always a smarter way of doing something. A couple of years ago when I was living in Florida, we had a huge storm, and a tree in my backyard got uprooted a little bit and was leaning on my house. And I actually knew a tree surgeon. So I called the guy up and I said, hey, how much to come do the tree? And the guy says, well, I won't charge you anything if you help me. I'm like, man, sold. So
yeah,
he shows up and he's got this long pole, and attached to the pole is a slingshot with like a rubber tubing as like the part that pulls back, right? Whatever that's called. And he goes, all right, I want you to hold the pole, right? And he had a fishing weight attached to a little piece of twine, and he aimed it and pulled this thing back like 25 feet. It was a crazy distance, right? And let this thing go. And it shot up over this huge oak tree I had in my backyard and dropped down. He grabbed the piece of twine, which was attached to the real heavy hawser rope, and pulled it up, right? And this is how he secured the tree that was leaning on my house, right? And then he just used a chainsaw, made one cut. It swung away from my house and dropped onto the ground.
Done.
Like, this is called skill.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a better way of doing something, right? But guess what? It took him a whole career to learn how to do that, right?
Right.
And so this is just knowing how to do stuff. And here's the thing. There's always a little trick. And if you want to know what the trick is, you should be asking people that have got years of experience, and they can give you that trick, which is why a guy like Alan or Richard Greaves or myself or whatever, this keeps us in business because we know how to launch the fishing weight over the branch that's going to save you tons of time, right?
Yep.
So Mark says, testing and comparing standard mesh to thin mesh, mapping results through different squeegee durometers, resulting in better ink opacity coverage while using less ink.
Awesome.
That's awesome. When did you do that, Mark? Just recently or like 10 years ago?
I think that's what his project is he's doing.
Oh, great. And then Hurley says, cuts coating time down drastically.
Well, he just is saying something different because he said he's creating a skim coat so you don't get dripping. That's off a developed screen.
Yeah.
I'm confused on what he's doing.
Maybe he's responding to Mark's comment.
Maybe.
Yeah. Testing and comparing standard mesh to thin mesh, mapping results using less ink. Maybe he's like, I don't know. Here's the thing is we don't know what people mean sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And our buddy Nate's here. Hey, Nate. Creating time to test and play every single week has been crucial to us. There is no new product I don't want my team to test out. A culture of constant learning keeps you sharp and allows your team to have some fun.
Absolutely. And, he just expanded his business. I did see, Nate, the announcement that you are now offering. You are in the embroidery industry now, too. So for your contract business.
Congratulations.
Embroidery, so good job.
Congratulations. That's excellent. That's excellent. So, all right. Well, hey, we'd love for you guys to share your experiences and stuff. Right now, we want to talk about GSG for a minute before we get into our back half of the show. So please go to Go GSG. And you know what I forgot to do was share my screen during our setup.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to talk about the Pulse today, right? Yep. And so you can go to gogsg.com, and right at the top banner, you can click and you can get the Pulse magazine. And today, instead of selecting one product, we just want to share the whole thing. Okay. So this is the cover for the one that we have right now for the summer. And if you click, there's different pages of stuff here, and there's all types of different products. And a lot of this stuff is consumables, but they also sell equipment. And so we really appreciate GSG for what they do. They have pricing in here. They've, there's just a lot of really good information. And of course, if anything that you need that isn't in the Pulse, I'm sure that you can call them up and that you guys can talk about it. So,
and their website is pretty extensive at gogsg.com. I love that they list where all their seminars, all their training classes. I was talking to a client today and saying he needs some good embroidery training classes. And I said, go to gsg.com, look and see what they're doing. And send your people to it no matter where it's at.
And I'll tell you something interesting is, and we were talking about that tension meter, right? Mm-hmm. And I was recommending that they get a bi-directional tension meter. That way you don't have to move it, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually sent them a link to GSG because they sell one, right? Yep. And so, GSG is really good. And you don't have to live within where their hubs are, right? So if you're in a part of the country that isn't using GSG, you can just go to their website and shop, and there's tons of information just there for you. And I know they would love to earn your business. So anyway.
Absolutely. And that's been part of the fun part of this show, and having them as a sponsor. I've been to shows where people come up and, who's your supplier? Well, I order from GSG. Well, they're in Rhode Island.
Yeah, right.
I heard about it here. They don't tell us these are people that listen, offline and stuff. And that's incredible. So, when that happened, I brought him over to GSG's booth. Mr. Saldonic was there, introduced him, and
yeah, good. So Hurley says coating high density screens takes a long time, but with a fan setup like Marshall was stating, it's a lot quicker and better for the results.
Okay.
Yeah, good. All right, well, great. So let's get to our third topic today, which is chaos mode.
Chaos mode.
Right. So here's what happens. You've been selling, you've been marketing, you're doing great. You've got a lot of orders in the system. And then comes the holy crap moment where you realize you got to get it all done.
Yeah.
Right. So we get into panic mode. And I know a lot of people, chaos mode is about, we've got 8 hours of production to do, but we've got 4 hours to do it in. Right. And so how are we going to get everything done? Right. And so what I wanted to talk about today is some things that I want you to think about, right? So chaos mode happens and it's a natural state. You're going to experience that sometime. You could be experiencing that right now. Okay. It's okay. So the thing to do is to really look at what's going on and remain calm. Okay. And what I want you to do is, here's where if you're measuring and if you know your numbers, you can kind of chart your way out of this. Okay. So hear me out. So it doesn't matter what decoration technique, embroidery, heat press, screen printing, whatever, everything takes time. And if you know your averages, setup, downtime, production time, run rate, all that kind of stuff, you can use a pencil and a calculator and all your orders, you can figure out that job is 30 minutes. That job's an hour. That job's 3 hours, whatever it is. And then you can schedule your way out of this.
Yeah.
And so just what is the first thing you need to do? What is the second thing you need to do? What is the third thing you need to do? How long do these things take? Schedule tomorrow, schedule the next day. Can we get a crew to come in and work an extra 2 hours for an overtime? Or can we work 4 or 5, 6 hours on a Saturday, whatever? This is how you get caught up, right? Now, these are for jobs that are already booked. But what you need to do is you need to tell your sales team, hey, we're booked until next Thursday. We can't do any jobs from Monday through Thursday. So don't add to the pile.
Right.
And that's going to go over like a fart in an elevator probably, but we can't add to the pile, so don't make it worse. Okay. And then you can start scheduling some stuff out. So I've always been a big proponent of the rush, late, today, tomorrow mantra for production scheduling in any decoration method, right? So we always, in the morning, we always do our rush jobs first. These are the ones that have to go. It could be also a critical job. It's just a name, right? I call it rush, but it could be critical. We always get those done first. Typically, they're the most important, or somebody paid for that type of service. We always do those first. Don't do them at the end of the day. Do them first. After that, all those jobs are done. Then we do our late jobs. Our late jobs cannot get any later. So we have to do late jobs next, right? Rush, then late. Right? Which means you might have a job that's due today that you can't get to because you got to do all the late jobs. Yep. Okay. That job that's due today, maybe you can't do it. Now it's going to be tomorrow, which might make it late. It's okay. You can't get today's job done because you've already got these other late jobs and you can't make them later because that just really ticks people off. So rush, late. And then when those are done, we do today's work. And then when those things are done, then we do future stuff. Where I see a lot of shops get in trouble, Alan, is we'll have a job that uses sleeve boards or whatever, right? Or it's their favorite client or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's not due till next Thursday or something. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do it today to, let's just get it done because we were already doing sleeves. Okay. Or we're already got everything set up for hats. And so we'll go ahead and do hats, all the hat jobs today, even though that job isn't due for next week. Right.
Right.
The problem with that is time. So what's happening is you're sacrificing the jobs that were supposedly due today. And like a domino effect, you just make everything later by doing that future work before it needs to. So resist the urge. Okay. Resist the urge. Rush late today. And then when those things are done, then you do the future things. Okay. If you stick to this plan, knowing how long things take, you can schedule yourself out of the chaos by looking at some things. Okay. Now, here's another idea is I want you to look at what you're saying yes to. Now, this is a sales thing. A lot of times shops say yes to everything instead of what's profitable. Okay. This is really also about knowing your numbers. So if you're an overbooked shop where you can't get everything done, if you start taking an assessment about what are we actually saying yes to, and you start doing that, and you can run what's called an 80-20 report. Okay. So this means that the top 20% of the work that you take gives you 80% of your profit, right? The 80% of your revenue. If you look at it the other way, 80% of the work that you do only gives you 20% of your profit, right? So this is the junk that fills up your production schedule so you can't get everything out. What are you saying yes to? So if you start eliminating these jobs by raising your minimums or raising your dollar amount minimum order or some other thing, transitioning to that dinky order, we're going to do not screen print, but we're going to do DTF or we're going to do that DTG,
right,
and taking that out of your production lane and putting it somewhere else. Now you're helping flatten the curve here a little bit on the chaos, right? And so just getting some thinking and some strategy behind what you're saying yes to and how you're doing the decoration can really help, right? So anyway, so that's a long-winded thing. What do you think about that, Alan? Any thoughts?
And I think you're 100% right on there. I love the deal of rush late today and future. I think my thoughts are, I think a lot of shops and a lot of people run in continual chaos mode. And it is just continual. And we believe that's how business is. And that's how shop's supposed to run. So sometimes a shop, they're running in chaos mode, but when you start looking for continuous improvement, sometimes you finding chaos mode might go away. Yeah. So I'll give an example. We're not going to talk about the company, but one I'm talking to, in the last few years, they've been on that journey to what can we do for continuous improvement, to do things better, to do things more. They've had to add some people. They've had to get rid of some people that weren't doing the job. And they're in almost reverse chaos mode. And the quote, you and I were talking, and that's kind of how this came up. He said, we have run in chaos mode. Now we're not in chaos mode. And it scares them. And so I said, why are you afraid? And, their
chaos was the normal, and now everything
chaos was the normal.
It feels weird.
Yeah. I feel better, and I think I'm sick because I don't know what feeling better is like. So, the question I started asking them is, what's going on? What are your numbers saying? Because they're very much on watching numbers. No, our profits are up. We're spending less time. And where it is there's less repeat orders. There's less scrap. There's less stuff that they've increased production. But now that's led on their EOS. He said their meeting is now been okay. We have this extra time. We've done good. We're realizing that it feels weird. He said it feels odd. It feels weird, but you know what? Now we got to, we want to celebrate this, and that's great, but now we got to hit it and keep moving forward. So it's not so much, take care of chaos mode, but don't try to stay in continuous chaos mode.
Right.
So,
yeah. So Hurley says when chaos mode shows up, we flick our beast mode switch.
We have to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Glenn says first thing is measure to validate assumptions. Yes.
Absolutely. 100% right.
Yeah. Josh says we just cut a second dip tank in half and let 2 screens drain while we claim 2. And now we can get through a rack in an hour faster and save on chemicals. We have a heated room, stays at 90 degrees, dries racks in 30 to 45 minutes.
That's awesome, Josh. Now make sure you're checking humidity on there because you want, and making sure in that heated room that there's a way for the water to evaporate out. Because if not, it'll just hang in there and you'll create a rainforest. But that is awesome. You're saving on time, less chemicals. Okay, I'll have to work harder, but that's okay.
I love to create a rainforest.
Oh, and that's what happens,
Yeah.
So
Davis says best thing we ever did was to get the training to develop methods to make the chaos disappear. The disruptive orders are even easy now, right? And
absolutely.
I know exactly where that training came from.
You know a guy. So yeah, absolutely.
I know a guy. Right. Yep. So that's great. And I
love that last part of that. To develop methods to make the chaos disappear.
Yeah.
The disruptive orders are even easy now. They're not disruptive. That's
right.
Right there.
Well, here's the thing. There's a process for that. That's what's important is when you get handed that sack of crap, now you can do something with it, right? Because here's what we do, or you should say, hey, talk to the hand. The answer is no, we don't do that, right? And because at the end of the day, taking things you should say no to really sets everything off and makes you unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to say yes to things, but sometimes the right answer is, I'm sorry, we're not in alignment with that type of job, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So you just got to know how to say no, or, hey, here's what we can do. And I've done a bunch of that over the years where somebody wants 1,000 shirts by Thursday and you go, how many do you really need? Well, we need 50 for the photo shoot. I go, hey, I can do like 200 of these right now. And can we ship the rest next week? Yes. There you go. And you split the order up, right? And a lot of times, your customers don't understand what we do because it's a very esoteric industry. They just want the result and they're paying for the result. How you get there is up to you, right? Josh says, we know they are dry when the room returns to 16% humidity, drains out the wall. We anticipate the chaos and automate around it or have an SOP for it.
Absolutely.
That's great. Frank says your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they didn't stop to think if they should.
Absolutely.
And that's Dr. Ian from Jurassic Park. So
yeah.
And then Charlie's here. Hey guys. Hey Charlie.
Charlie is our guest next week.
Yeah. And
that'd be great. And I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know.
It was pretty incredible. I'm sure it was incredible. It was mind blowing, but yeah.
So anyway, so chaos mode, you need to reduce that. If that is your challenge right now, right, there is all types of people you can reach out to help you. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of really great resources. There's a lot of classes and videos and books and blogs. There's people like Alan and me and whoever. There's always somebody that can help you. Don't try to do this alone.
Yep.
Get the answer and start taking action and do the things that you need to do. This is going to help you get things handled.
The best thing I started doing is, when I do a shop evaluation of their screen room, their processes and stuff, and then I say, all right, here's where the problems and the bottlenecks and everything are with the chaos points. We'll call them chaos points from now on. here's how we change. And you start changing one or the other and start doing that. And then some of these shops, I have two in mind, I'm not going to say, now it's not even a problem for them. You know, they just go, that's just standard SOP for them. And they just think everybody does it that way. They almost forget what it was like before.
And here's Brian Buffka's smart-ass comment of the day. Don't call us esoteric because we don't know what it means.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember what I was going to say when you were talking about your customer doesn't care. They, you know, we know how we create things and how it's done. The customer doesn't care. When I buy ice cream, I don't care how the ice cream's made. I just want good chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Dan's here. Hey, Dan.
How you doing, Dan?
All right. Last topic. Do you remember what it was? Without looking?
Go.
Keep pushing. Right? So we're in the middle part of June.
Yep.
The year is half over. Okay. We have another half of the year to go. So keep pushing. You've got some momentum, hopefully, right? Mm-hmm. What do you want to happen by the end of the year? Right? Maybe you haven't even started something. Okay. It's okay. You got 6 months. Like, let's get it going, right? Let's keep pushing the envelope, pushing with your processes, process improvement, pushing with your sales, pushing with your employee training. You know, what is out there in the next 6 months that can make your life better? And there's got to be something.
Well,
right. So what, you know, if you're watching right now, like, throw that comment in the chat about what you feel you need to work on, or what's something that you want to change, or what's something that you haven't started yet that you want to learn or play around with and, you know, goof off and just start testing and experimenting. Like, what are you doing? Right. And so the pushing part here is taking the action and doing it and not sitting back and talking about it. Right. So you don't need permission. You just need the action. So, you know, so Alan, what are you thinking here?
This came up, you know, as we were talking, you know, again, talking to a client, and they're going, okay, we've been out of chaos mode and it feels odd. It feels weird. But what they immediately did is going, okay, we're out of chaos mode and it feels weird. And now we've kind of celebrated. We've got to keep pushing. What can we do? How can we create more sales? What do we have to do to get better process? What do we have? What new markets can we go at? And that's what they're pushing at. And, you know, they just had this meeting, their EOS meeting with their team. And that's what they're doing, going, okay, we got to keep pushing. And I think we are all like that. I talked about even in my own business, you know what? Things have been a little weird the first quarter and numbers are a little down. I'm fairly good, but you know what? I've got a little bit of work to do. I've got to keep pushing. I've got to keep looking for new markets, new clients, new stuff. I got to make sure the old ones are doing well. How are my dealers doing? What are the new products we're coming out to, and am I marketing them correctly?
Yeah. I'd like to tell you what I'd like to do, but then I would feel compelled to have to do it.
Absolutely.
That's why we want you to share it, you goof.
Absolutely.
So, you know, come on, be a little brave, Dan. Come on. So keep pushing is important. And, you know, innovating, right? So, you know, in my own business, right? What am I doing? I'm sharing that right there at the bottom. Right here is my new Mid-Journey newsletter. Okay. That's my innovation, right? Is to create a newsletter about using creative artificial intelligent tool for designing. You know, how are we using it? What are you doing? Whatever. Please sign up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is, we don't know where we're going with this or what we're doing. I am dedicated to building this out and doing it. I am not waiting. I didn't wait for permission. I didn't ask Mid-Journey for it. I know there's designers out there that could utilize this. And the whole focus is to take this and how people are using it with print. And it's a huge sector of the industry. There's lots of designers out there. There's lots of controversy. There's like, it's not right for everybody. You know, there's a lot of people who hate it. I totally get it. Right. And I'm up for that debate. I don't know how I want to use it either. Okay. But you know what I'm doing is I am taking action and doing something, right? This is me trying to innovate and do something new, right? So use me as an example, right? So what can you be doing right now with a new decoration technique? You want, and like, you get into embroidery or get into doing water-based inks or high density or creating online stores or whatever. Maybe there's things that you aren't doing right now. Take that action and get it done and build on the momentum for this year. So you finish the year in a really positive, happy place because you started something. That's what's important here.
I think, Marshall, how soon we forget that just a few years ago, we were in a pandemic and this is what everybody was talking about. What new markets can I hit? What can I do? And boy, how we forget on that. We've got to keep pushing. We got to keep opening doors. You got to keep looking for new things and keep reinventing yourself.
Yep. And Davis says, wow, sounds like you're talking about us. We're trying to emulate Josh and automate anything we can. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I talk to Davis all the time, and he's the king of, hey, this is what we tried, you know, and that's really great. And he doesn't have success all the time, but here's what happens is those stepping stones, those failures, 10, 12, 17 steps later, that's where victory lies. If you never take that first step, you didn't certainly get to the 17th step where you've improved it and you changed it and now it's working, right? Mark says, keep pushing my Easy Way rep to get my blue water here.
I'm not his Easy Way rep.
Who is that?
I'm not going to say.
Oh.
I will not dog one of my other team members because I don't know the situation on that.
Yeah, but you got their text.
I will text them and tell them.
You can text them and go, hey, Mark made fun of you live. Anyway, so keep pushing.
And I never know if my boss is watching. Remember, we've had them pop in before, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
No, I handle GSG Ohio. That's it. So unfortunately, Mark, got to call your guy.
All right. And all right. So Glenn says he's got to jump. Hey, thanks. Appreciate you, Glenn.
Thanks a lot. Good luck, man.
Hey, I'll see you Monday on our conference call. So
cool deal.
All right. So last thing I want to talk, especially keep pushing. Here's something I'm pushing. It's Shirt Lab New Orleans.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is next month, y'all. Okay.
Yep.
July the 28th is our networking event, which is our famous rock, paper, scissors tournament. Josh, who's Wiley, won a Vision IQ 360 hat press at that event. We're giving another one away this year. You could win it.
And he said it just made him a ton of money too.
Yeah. That's going to be Friday the 28th. The actual event is all day Saturday the 29th. You don't have to come to the Friday event, but you do need to show up for the Saturday event. Okay. And then we've got a great lineup of folks. I want to show you who's talking. Jay Basel's doing a whole thing on building communities. These are customer communities. He's going to give you how to do that, right? So let's say you do stuff with high schools or with hospitals or with whatever. How can you build a community and do something so you can be the guy the whole community turns to? He's going to show you how to do that. Allie, who's such a badass, is going to give you how to build a continuous improvement process and Six Sigma. She's a black belt in Lean Six Sigma. She's going to show you how to do that. Jenna Sackett is going to be talking about lead generation, how you can build a better process to get leads. Who doesn't want more sales?
Absolutely.
Here's how you can do it. Okay. Lori Feldman, who spoke at our St. Louis event a couple years ago, is back, and she's going to give you a drip marketing automation sequence to automate how to contact customers We're going to be doing that from your seat in the audience right now, right? How to build an automation sequence. You're going to be doing it. You're going to have an automatic takeaway right from what you're doing, right? Tom Rowland is going to be showing his how his sequence and how he does referrals. Okay, so this is how he gets. I think it's like $1 million a year in sales just from referrals. You want to learn how to do that? You need to be there in the audience learning, right? And then our keynote speaker is Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First and Pumpkin Plan and All In and a whole bunch of other books, right? He's got a new book coming out next year, okay, which is called How Great Leaders Build Unstoppable Teams, okay? All In, okay? And this book is all about hiring and retaining employees. Gee, who has problems with that right now?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be an hour and a half from Mike sharing his thoughts on it, you know, and I think it's going to be just a fantastic talk, right? So this is July the 28th, 29th. Get signed up. We have a hotel room block right here, $109, $110, I think, for the room, which is really good for New Orleans. It's across the street from a venue. You don't even need a car, right? So get signed up. I know a bunch of folks that are watching right now are signed up. You know, I know Brian's coming. I know that Davis is going. I'm going. You're going, right?
Going. Yep, I'm already signed up.
So get signed up for Shirt Lab New Orleans. I think it's going to be a great event based on our attendance right now. We're going to have a really great room. It's going to be lots of fun. And this is one of these things that you don't want to hear about how great it's going to be. You need to show up. Yeah, here, look at Justin. Justin and Karen both will be there, right? And they're both members of Shirt Lab. So thanks for being there for that. And so it's going to be lots of fun. I already did that. It's going to be lots of fun. So anyway, would love to see you guys at our event. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm all about helping you guys out. You can reach me at where's my thing? Reach me at Marshall@MarshallAtkinson.com. Would love to help you guys. If you've got a question for Alan, there's his email. Right?
Absolutely. Hey, if there's chaos in your screen room, I'm your guy. If there's, let me know. And if I'm not in your area, I'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Even in your whole print process, I might just focus on chemicals and screen room. Let me know how I can help you. Been there, done that.
Yep. Good stuff. And if you want to sign up for Shirt Lab New Orleans, here's the link, shirtlablive.com. You want to get my newsletter? Here's the bit.ly link, which is just atkinson.fyi/MJ, which is all caps, newsletter. Get signed up. It's $12 a month. It publishes every single Monday. I got one coming out this Monday. We're going to hear about a industrial designer that uses Midjourney for textures, and he does a lot of stuff for like Nike and stuff. Right. And then there's also a video showing you how to do spot color separations in channels in Photoshop. So if you don't know how to do that, it's probably worth it just for that alone. So I just actually made that video this morning. So anyway, would love to see you guys there at Shirt Lab New Orleans, or get signed up for my newsletter. Anyway, that's it for plugs. Alan, got any last minute thoughts before we jump off today?
No, not really. It's been a good show. Everybody have a great week. I think some of you listening, I'm not going to mention any names. I'm looking at one. You need to be at Shirt Lab. You got to start getting out to some of these things for your business and everything. We want to thank GSG always, man, for their sponsorship and partnership. Mark Soldonic, I'll see if I can't push something along for you on that. I'm feeling bad. But guys, chaos is not a state. It doesn't have to be a state all the time. So let Marshall and I know how we can help you.
All right, guys, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next week. See ya.